We're here for Reiki Immersion Online questions and answers. So come on in. It's great fun to see you. Chrissy, it's wonderful to have you as our Zoom co-host. We're going to wait just a moment and then we'll get started. So thank you.
Thank you.
Gosh, I think the last time we were doing Reiki Works, we were having a snowstorm. And so I'm glad that we're not having a storm today. Oh, great.
Okay.
Come on in. Come on in, Mary. And you're welcome to unmute if you like. Hi, Mary. Or you're welcome to keep your video on, do whatever you like. We're very pleased you're here. We're going to wait just another moment and then gosh, I think what I'll do is introduce Chrissy, and then Chrissy can introduce me, and then feel free to ask me anything you like. And I love your picture in the background. It's great. That's beautiful. So should we get started?
I think so.
All right. Chrissy, I am so thrilled to introduce you as my wonderful Zoom co-host. It is absolutely a pleasure. Chrissy and I have been doing this together for 3 years. And so to have you with us today again is spectacular. Chrissy's an occupational therapist at Northwell Health, which is New York State's largest healthcare provider with 21 hospitals and 850 outpatient facilities servicing over 2 million people a year in New York State. She's a wonderful graduate has received a certificate in low vision rehab from the University of Alabama in Birmingham. And we were just talking before we started about Chrissy's beginning the implementation of a low vision program at Northwell Health. So great luck, Chrissy. I'm sure it'll be excellent. She's a contributor to the Exam Preparation Therapy Ed books for the National Board for Certification in Occupational Therapy for their examination training book on that. And she's the administrator for OT Leaders and Legacy Society, which is where we met. And so it's a great pleasure, Chrissy, to introduce you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So I just want to welcome you to this questions and answer session with Rebecca Austill-Clausen. We're very happy that you're joining us for the Reiki Immersion Online questions and answer session. And we're overjoyed that you're here. Just so you know, this session is going to be recorded. So if you don't want to appear in the recording, please just keep your video off and rename yourself to anonymous or any other name that you choose. My name is Christina Gavalis-Valdivia. I'll be your co-host and supporting Rebecca as we answer all questions, anything that comes into mind. Some housekeeping items before we get started. You're going to be muted upon entering. If you would like to unmute yourself, just raise your hand, physically, or use the raise hand button in your toolbar at the bottom. Usually we keep people muted so there's no background noise, but Mary, I think we can definitely unmute you. There is a chat box as well that you can open up and post your questions, or if you have anything to tell us, if you would rather not ask Becky your question yourself, you can send your chat message to just me, or you can also just post it to everyone. Rebecca might not see your personal message while she is speaking or answering questions, so she just asks you to email her if you do have something to ask her directly, and I'll put her email in the chat. There it is. So it's just Becky@RebeccaAustill-Clausen.com. And if you have any technical issues, you can reach out to me. My email is my name, and I'll put that in the chat box for you. Okay, so that's me. If you have any issues with Zoom, I usually say try logging out or logging back in, but you can also shoot me an email or a chat message as well, and I can help you troubleshoot. All right, so those are our housekeeping items out of the way. So I'm going to introduce you to Rebecca Austill-Clausen, our speaker. Rebecca Austill-Clausen is a Reiki master, occupational therapist, and award-winning author. She is the first person to provide Reiki certificate training at every in-person American Occupational Therapy Association annual conference since 2015, including the upcoming 2023 AOTA annual conference in Kansas City, Missouri. She's also the first to provide Reiki certificate training at the International Association for Near-Death Studies annual conference yearly since 2021, including the upcoming 2023 annual conference being held in Arlington, Virginia during the Labor Day weekend. Becky presents Reiki at multiple medical university programs nationwide, although all people are encouraged to attend. She also teaches highly effective Reiki training online. Becky has provided Reiki training for 27 years, training thousands of medical professionals and all others how to utilize Reiki's natural energy healing benefits. And now I'll hand it over to you, Becky.
Chrissy, that was lovely. Thank you very much, and delighted to have you all here, and feel free to ask me anything. I mean, I can give a whole summary, but why don't we start with any of the questions? And it's going to be really, really fun. We've got 1 week until Reiki Level 1 starts, and that's on Saturday, March 25th. And then the following day, we have Reiki Level 2, which is on Sunday, March 26th. And then 1 week later is the Reiki Master Level 3 program. And that's for people that have at least 6 months experience since they've received their Reiki Level 2 certificate from any Reiki Master. And then I ask for a Reiki Master interview before attending with me as well. So feel free to ask me anything desired. I'm all yours.
Thanks, Becky. I'm just going to give everyone the ability to unmute as well in case they would like to ask a question themselves. And then let's go over some email questions we've gotten too. So Sean is wondering if someone is not able to attend Reiki Immersion, if it'll be recorded.
Thanks, Chrissy. And thank you, Sean. It's an interesting question. It is not going to be recorded. And the reason for that is that we do Zoom breakout rooms. We have 3 different experiential rooms, or 3 different experiential times where we have, gosh, dozens of people that are in their own breakout room with just one other person, so that the breakout room only has 2 different people in it. And that's where you receive and share Reiki. So for example, if Chrissy and I were in the same breakout room, Chrissy would send me Reiki, and then we would talk about it. And then I would send Chrissy Reiki, and then we would talk about it. And it's just us in our own room. And it's a wonderful way to learn how to receive and share Reiki. And also it's a practice that occurs after we have learned self-Reiki. So the first thing you learn is self-Reiki, and then you learn how to receive and share it with others. And it's almost physically impossible to record all these Zoom breakout rooms. Plus, there's a fair amount of personal information that can be discussed. And so we do not record the sessions. I think it's really important for a certificate provided course to know that you were there, and you were there throughout the whole training. And so with it being a certificate provided course, I do not offer the recording, but that's a great question. And welcome, Cynthia. It's very nice to have you here.
Thanks, Becky. And just to recap, if anyone has a question, you can raise your hand physically or use the raise hand feature. You can unmute yourself and ask it to Becky yourself. You can post a question in the chat and I can ask it to Becky as well. Okay.
And Cynthia, we said this is being recorded. And so if for some reason you don't want to be seen or whatever, just don't show your video or change your name or whatever. But it's very nice to have you here.
Gotcha. Thanks, Becky. Thanks.
Sure.
Did you have something you wanted to ask, Cynthia? Off the top
No,
of your-
I'm just checking in, and I can only stay for a few minutes because I have the puppy, but I did want to just check in and see what's going on because I'm always interested.
You're awesome. Thank you.
You're awesome.
Oh, everyone's always so lovely. Next, Anne asked a question. She's wondering if she took Reiki years ago and wants to get back into it. Should she take a class with you, even though she has already taken Reiki before?
I love that question. I get asked that question a lot, actually. So thank you, Chrissy. Thank you, Anne. that's what's called a refresher. Is it appropriate to refresh your skills? You know, once you're attuned and once you have your Reiki energy activated, that's what the attunement means. And that's what happens during Reiki level 1. It stays with you forever. Now, with that being said, sometimes we find ourselves practicing Reiki more than others. And so if you would like to refresh your skills, feel free to take it again. It doesn't harm anybody. It doesn't do anything except for improve your awareness. And every single year I update the research of what's happening with Reiki. We provide as much as I can, the latest and greatest updates and techniques that people are using with Reiki. And so it's nice to be able to come to the class and refresh your skills and also practice again receiving Reiki yourself and practicing it with others, because every single class has a good experiential component. You know, I used to, when I was teaching solely in person, and then we had COVID and I moved to online, and found that it was very effective. I used to get a fair amount of people that would come to my in-person classes and I'd say, why were you here when you've already learned Reiki? Because they would have taken an online course. And so if you're going to take an online course, always, always, always make sure that you're going to be able to practice, because just to read material is not Reiki. You know, you want to be able to practice it. And so we have in Reiki 1, we have 3 experiential sessions, one-on-one, and so you can have 3 different people that you practice Reiki with. Reiki 2, you have 3 experiential sessions, and Reiki Master, you have 2. And so I always encourage that with online. It happens in person, but with online, you always want to make sure there's experiential sessions. So bottom line, it's very fine to come and refresh your skills. It's a great thing to do.
Thank you. Next, let's build on that. Sally had a question. If you could explain how they'll practice sharing Reiki during the course, and if you find it's like as effective online as it is in person.
Good question. And it's so nice, Chrissy, that you have all these email questions. So thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I, quite frankly, wasn't totally positive that online Reiki training was going to work, but actually it has been more than effective. It amazes me how well it works. The same type of information that is received and shared during Reiki online happens during in person. And it's really quite phenomenal. I tell this story a lot because to me, it exemplifies how effective online Reiki training is. One of the very first times I provided Reiki online, I got an email from someone. She was about 63 years old. And she said, "Do you do online Reiki?" And I did. And so I said, "Yes, I do." And she said, "Okay, let's set up a time." So we set up a time. And what happens, at least for me, when I do online treatment, it's about an hour treatment. And so about 20 minutes in, to the session, it felt like she had a pain in her right knee. And so at that point, I sent her Reiki. And the way I do it online is that I beam it. And that's what I think probably most people do, but you don't have to, because you can do long distance Reiki just by mindfully, with intention, thinking about it. But when I'm working one-on-one with a client, I like them to be able to see me and for me to see them and such. It just provides a little bit more physical validation. So anyway, after about 20 minutes of the session, it felt like she had a pain in her right knee. So I'm sending her Reiki, and about 5 minutes later, the pain stopped. And so I moved on. And after about 5 more minutes, she was receiving Reiki so well that it felt like she was levitating above the bed. And so I always have a yellow pad with me, and I write down pain in right knee, levitating above the bed. So after about 45, 50 minutes, we finished the session. And I'd never met her before. And she said, well, I mean, I had met her that day, but I didn't have any history really of her. And I said, "How are you doing?" And she said, "Becky, I didn't tell you this when I started, but I had a pain in my right knee and now it's gone. And so I hold up my yellow pad where it says right knee pain. And I said, yes, I also felt that. And I'm thrilled that you can feel that it's gone. And I said, well, how are you feeling emotionally? And she said, it felt like I was dancing on air. And I'm like, oh, right. And that was the type of validation that I needed, that online Reiki can work. And it absolutely does work. It's really quite amazing to know that we have the energy within us. And the thing about Reiki that is different from all the other complementary and integrative health modalities is that there's an attunement process with Reiki. And what the attunement process is Miko Yasui. He's the founder of the Yasui form of Reiki that's being used by millions and millions of people all across the world. He received 3 healing symbols. He's from Japan, and he received 3 healing symbols. And these symbols facilitate healing. And so during Reiki level 1, I place these symbols in your aura and also on your hands. And it's so interesting to me because after that, I'll say, and how are you feeling? And the responses are essentially identical to doing this in person. And so it really is an extremely effective way to receive natural healing ability. And it jumpstarts the training because you now have the ability to help heal yourself and help heal clients, family, friends, colleagues, even pets and plants with 1 day of training. And a lot of the complementary modalities take much longer to learn. Actually, I think everyone takes much longer to learn than 1 day, except for Reiki, which you can learn in 1 day. I teach it in 1 day. Sometimes people take, a couple of days to teach it. So whatever works for you is wonderful, but it is quite effective. So thanks. That was a good question.
Thanks, Becky. Does anyone else here have a question before I get to another one that was emailed? Okay, so John emailed a question. He is attending on Saturday, which is exciting. He's wondering if it qualifies for massage therapy CEUs.
Oh, wow. It may, John. It may qualify. It definitely is approved by the National Board for Certification in Occupational Therapy for 6.0 contact hours. In order to get it approved for massage therapy, you'd probably need to submit most of the handouts, definitely the outline, and submit it to your massage certification board and see what they say. And they may approve it. It is an approved course for occupational therapists. Now, with massage is traditionally a hands-on modality. Reiki can either be hands-on or hands-off, but Reiki uses energy, massage also uses energy, but massage also has a concentration on the physicality of the body. And we certainly talk about that. And we certainly go into, where different organs are located and muscles and nerves and all of that. So you'd have to submit the information. So for everybody, actually, I encourage you to download all the handouts and then you'll always have them. But feel free to download them, send them to the massage board and see what they say. And if there's any additional information you need, feel free to email me. And my email's in the chat, but it's Becky at my name, Austill-Clausen.com, no hyphens, no space. And, let me know what they need and I'll do my best to provide whatever answers or materials that would help you get this approved, hopefully. So I can't say definitively, but you've got to get a chance for it. Good question. Thanks, Chrissy.
Thank you. And I know we get that question too pretty often, Becky, with like nursing and other like physical therapy and stuff like that. So I know OT is covered, but what other professionals might be able to get CEUs?
Sure. In the state of New Jersey, I was asked to teach Reiki to the PT, physical therapy, and occupational therapy department at Stockton University. And I'm like, okay, great. And it was so interesting to me because I was camping at the time. I have an RV, and my husband and I are visiting all the national parks, having a wonderful time. And so we were someplace out west, and the person that I was dealing with said, the physical therapy department, the physical therapy licensure board said that in order for this to be approved for CEUs for contact hours, they need 5 peer-reviewed medical reference journals that are written within the past 5 years that support the use of Reiki with physical therapy, with medical conditions, things like that. And so here I am in the middle of the West in an RV without like easy access to a library. But thank goodness for the internet, and I could just go into PubMed and a variety of other spots. And I was able to find 5 peer-reviewed medical reference journals published within the past 5 years that supported the use of Reiki with medical conditions. And actually, I had a lot more that I was able to find. And you all have these references, or will get the references by taking the class. And so I sent that in along with quite a lot of other documentation. And lo and behold, it was approved. And so for the state of New Jersey, Reiki has been approved for physical therapists. And when I teach Reiki, I've done it online during COVID, and now it's in person at the International Association for Near-Death Studies annual conference. And Acoma University, AKA-MAI, I believe is how it's spelled, has approved Reiki for medical professionals, therapists, and others. And so each year we submit a proposal to have Reiki and actually many of the programs at the International Association for Near-Death Studies approved for medical professionals, et cetera. And it's always been approved. So that's another angle. This particular class that I'm teaching, Reiki Immersion Online, I've only submitted it to the National Board for Certification in Occupational Therapy. So it's currently approved for OT assistants, OT students, educators, researchers, practitioners. But the other ones, there certainly is a history for having it approved. And so my suggestion is, again, to download the documents and have them submit them and see what happens. And then feel free to keep me in touch.
Awesome. Thanks, Becky. Yeah, I'm always amazed at how many resources you have in the boutique of handouts. It's like over 100.
It's about 14 pages of and they're different for Reiki 1. The best ones are, the ones that seem very relevant. For Reiki 2, I put them in there, and then Reiki Master has a whole new set of research and resources and all that. So it is quite fun. Within the past really like 3 to 4 years, maybe 5 years, let's say within the past 5 years, but absolutely within the past 3 years, there has been lots of good statistical valid research that support the use of Reiki to reduce pain, stress, anxiety, and increase a sense of well-being. And it's so exciting because when that first time happened with the physical therapy licensure board asking me to submit those 5 peer-reviewed reference journal articles in the last 5 years, it was a little dicey as far as good statistical research, but it was there. I just had to search for it. Now it's a lot easier to find, and it's so exciting that Reiki is being done by millions. It's really wonderful. It shows how effective it is. Plus, it can be learned in one day. I mean, this one day concept I find most astounding. And when I first learned Reiki, I'm like, how can something so profound be learned in one day? I'm like, how could I have missed this? But I'm a science-based OT, I still am, but at that point I was pretty much scientifically driven. And to know that we each have the ability to help ourselves heal and to help others heal is fantastic. So yes, the research is there. And thanks, Chrissy.
Yeah, thanks. And I feel like I ask you this all the time, but I have seen it in so many even like TV shows and just people talking about it lately. Like a lot more people know what Reiki is, which I think is super interesting. It was very, very, I don't know, highly featured is the right word, but it was big in an episode of Grey's Anatomy.
Oh, far out.
Last week. Yeah, they showed it and everything. And she was saying how like Reiki, helps with pain and natural healing and all that jazz. And it was great.
No kidding.
Yeah.
On that whole concept, I had a knee replacement, and gosh, I think it was about maybe 5 years ago. It was about 5 years ago, maybe a little less, but I think it was about 5 years ago. I had a right knee replacement, and where I went was Bryn Mawr Hospital, and that's in Pennsylvania, Bryn Mawr, Pennsylvania. They had 44 nurses trained in Reiki, and I'm like, all right. And I knew this because I know the area and who had Reiki and all of that, and that was one of the reasons why I wanted to go there. But to have the knee replacement, and the next day, because I'm still in the hospital, I was in the hospital for like 36 hours. And the next day at 9 o'clock, knock on the door, and a woman said, "Hello, I'm your Reiki nurse. Would you like Reiki?" And I'm like, yes. And I would like to say that I gave myself Reiki every single day during the rehab period. And plus I had my physical therapist. She was trained in Reiki and craniosacral therapy. I'm delighted to say that after 5 weeks, I was totally independent, using no supportive assistive devices, and my pain level from the beginning of the Reiki surgery to the end, for the end of the 5-week period, on a scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being no pain and 10 being tremendous pain, was 3. The whole time it was 3. And normally, particularly right after surgery, the pain is between 6 and 7. And I attribute that to Reiki. And so it's really, really fun. Bryn Mawr Hospital also has a article. So you can find the article if you search Reiki right knee pain. You'll probably get it, or Reiki right knee pain. Or not even right, if you just go Reiki knee pain, Bryn Mawr Hospital, you can find the article, and it's good. And what actually happened was they were doing a research study, and because it was so successful, Bryn Mawr then said, hey, we're going to develop a Reiki program. And so that's how they ended up even 5 years ago with 44 Reiki trained nurses, which is awesome.
That is awesome. I think my hospital has it too. I work in a hospital as well, and I've heard, people offering it to patients, which I think is great.
The trick, for lack of a better word, the trick on knowing whether your hospital has it or not is to ask, because a lot of the physicians are not as well versed in integrative health or complementary modalities, but they know it. If somebody says, hey, do you have Reiki? They'll know whether it happens or not. And so I encourage you to ask, because gosh, it was like, I think 2017, I think that's when this was, 42% of all hospitals across the United States, according to a American Hospital Association survey, which surveyed all the hospitals across the United States, 42% had complementary modalities, and Reiki was considered in the top 3. So gosh, that's 2017. So hospitals have it. Almost 1 out of 2 hospitals have complementary modalities. And so I encourage you to ask.
That's awesome. Thank you. Just so you know too, Mary said she had a question, but you answered it.
Oh, great.
And Cynthia said that she can attest to Reiki being effective. She said she's an IT, no medical training, but she's done Reiki on about 5 people since she took your course in 2021 and reported good results. So that's exciting.
Hey, thanks both of you. That's absolutely fantastic. It is amazing. And that's what Reiki level 2 does. You take this Reiki level 1, you get it activated. Reiki level 2, you find out how this works. Like, you learn these symbols, which are essentially Japanese letters, and you learn them, you use them, you learn how to use them, when to use them. And in my opinion, you don't actually have to remember every single component of the symbol, but you want to mindfully, intentionally ask the universe, please send Reiki to this person and you think about the symbols and you always ask for a person's highest good. And it works. It is quite amazing. And the synchronicities that happen are absolutely fantastic. It's fun. It's absolutely fun to use Reiki and to have it validated. So, if you only want to come for one day, get yourself attuned, activated, your Reiki energy activated, try it out. You'll learn on yourself first and then with others. But Reiki level 2, which is the very next day, is my ideal way to recommend learning Reiki, because then it quiets our mind. Our mind understands, okay, this is why it's working. And it's fun.
Thanks. Mary asked a question. She's wondering how often you offer the online Reiki programs.
Thanks, Mary. I've been doing it every year in the spring. Sometimes I do them in the fall. My concentration going forward is going to be to do more at national conferences and more universities. And sometimes I'll be doing it online, sometimes it'll be in person. And so at this point, I don't have another online training session scheduled yet, but one never knows. And it's really great fun to be able to offer it. Certainly this weekend, well, a week from today. So a week from today is when it's starting. And, we've got a lot of folks coming, and it's just a delightful group of people. I know some of them and don't know everybody, but, we become certainly part of our family, our Reiki family by the end of the day, which is awesome.
Thanks, Becky. I just want to let you know, Cynthia said she has to go, but she thanks you for being positive and uplifting. And she said, if anyone is unsure about taking the course, she's happy to chat with them. She said, it's amazing. You start right away. It helps people, which is everything that you say too. So
Cynthia, you're awesome. Thank you very much.
Okay, if anyone wants to talk, I'm happy to chat. You can give out my info.
You're a peach. Thank you. I hope you have a wonderful day.
Thank you. And you too. Enjoy it, everybody. Bye.
Thanks.
Okay. Now that goes into another question. So Sue was wondering, if she takes Reiki level 1 and 2 this weekend, can she take a Reiki master course with you?
Oh, well, isn't that an interesting question? Thank you, Sue, and thank you, Chrissy. In order to, for me, the way I do it, in order to take a Reiki master course, I really want you to be skilled, a skilled Reiki practitioner. And so I require at least 6 months of Reiki practice after receiving a Reiki level 2 certificate. And then I say, can you please interview with me? We do a Reiki master interview. It's on my website. It's my website's just my name, no hyphen, no space, Austill-Clausen.com. And it's under the coaching section. And you set up a Reiki master interview there, and then we schedule. And I talk to you about your background, your interest in Reiki, your current Reiki practice, what your plans are for the future. I ask you about the Reiki symbols. Please draw the Reiki symbols for me online in the Aya. And it's a nice way for me to have a one-to-one relationship with someone that wants to become a Reiki master. There are people that offer 3-day courses, Reiki 1 one day, Reiki 2 the next day, Reiki 3, Reiki master that third day. And to me, I don't really feel that that's an appropriate way to define being a Reiki master. For me, a Reiki master is an advanced clinician, an advanced practitioner, and I want you to really understand the Reiki philosophy and have absorbed the Reiki principles. It took me 10 years to acknowledge that I really enjoyed Reiki and I really wanted to become a Reiki master. And so I'd certainly gone through periods in the very beginning, because I learned it in 1996 from an occupational therapist, which was great fun, Anne Marie McClintock. And so she taught me Reiki level 1 and Reiki level 2. And 10 years later, I said, okay, I'm ready to fully embrace the principles of Reiki. And one of the things that Reiki is known for is what's called unconditional love. That's what Reiki is. It's unconditional love. And you think, my gosh, isn't that nice? Like, it's such a lovely concept to have unconditional love. And so with Reiki, you learn unconditional love. Look at Bill here. Oh my gosh, I haven't seen you in ages. Thanks for being here. You are awesome.
I just found the link. I just clicked it. I'm sorry I'm coming in late.
No worries. It's great. And I hope to see you at the upcoming IONS conference as well.
I will be in Germany working with the German army with Prince Harry with his Invictus games. And so
You're kidding.
No, I'm doing something. I may be going to Poland and the Ukraine after that, but I'm working with the PTSD veterans.
Bill, that is fantastic. Bill's a wonderful supporter of the Veterans Organization, a wonderful supporter of experiencers, people that have had a near-death experience, which is a real medical condition. And one of the things that happens when people have a NDE, a near-death experience, is that they often travel to another realm of existence. Their body flatlines, yet their consciousness remains. And that's one of the coolest things to me, is that our consciousness does not die. Our consciousness continues. And Bill does a wonderful, wonderful job helping people with that transition of coming back. Come on back to this life when they've returned. And one of the things that happens a lot of time, in about 80% of the folks that have an NDE, have a near-death experience, is that they meet deceased loved ones, and they experience a wonderful sense of love and support and camaraderie. And it's so fun, because what Reiki does is Reiki uses that same type of energy from the universe, and it uses it with love, and it facilitates an increase of being able to connect with ourselves and others, either on this place, on this earth, or beyond. And so many times it's really fun seeing you again, Bill. When at IONS, at the annual conference, they have a healing center, and I've been delighted to be the healing coordinator. And often the experiencers lounge, where Bill is often, is right beside the healing center. And so it's so fun to see you again. Thank you. And wow, way to go, man, on working with the vets and PTSD and the games, and way to go.
Yeah, it's weird. I turned 77 this week.
Wow. Happy birthday.
I'm no longer a child. Now I'm in my middle age. If I live to be 154, I'll be middle-aged. So, but I'm busier now than I was when I worked for the government, which maybe says something about the government. But I've been retired 22 years, and I'm more active today worldwide and doing things, and still writing, still producing, still doing podcasts, workshops, things, more than I ever have been. It's like I spent 77 years to get to this place. And now that it's here, I'm going, well, don't waste it. I mean, share it. So that's what I'm doing for the next 3 years. And what I'm doing is, like, I'm going to be next Saturday, I'll be in Encinitas. I rented a church. I think you can't say you sold out a place if you're not charging anybody, but basically if people are registered, the church is going to be full. And I'm giving a free workshop, 4 hours on self-healing.
Oh, nice.
And demand was so overwhelming. I did one there first week of January, and I had a turnaway crowd. I had 3 times more people that could get into the facility I had. So I'm going back for a second go around. But I only could do this hands-on with people so long. And now I'm looking to say, I need to train the trainers. I need to train people that are going to do what I'm doing. I can't just go out there and do everybody. So I'm looking to find 2 or 3 dozen people worldwide that want to spend a couple of years learning what I got and following, and passing on what I got to them, and then turn them loose. Because, 77, what do I got? Another 10, 12, 13 years, big deal, right? So if you spend your life learning something, painfully in some cases, it'd be a waste just to leave and not give it. So I'm not worried about this is mine, I'm doing this. No, I don't care. Take anything I'm doing, copy it. Don't mention me, it doesn't matter. But basically, it's all about love. Like when you're doing Reiki, it's all about love. It's all about energy. It's all about frequencies. So I'm trying to teach people to change the inner and trying to get the body, the mind, and the spirit all in the same frequency, the same vibration. When that's not the same, that's what causes disease. Now, some people do it with tuning forks and they do it with bowls, they do it with chants. There's all kinds of ways to enhance the frequency and the vibration. I'm trying to tell people through the methods I teach, which is basically diet, not just what you eat, but what you watch, what you listen to, what you talk about, what you listen. I mean, everything you do, that's part of your diet. And then your meditation and how you live your life, your morals and everything else. And that helps increase your frequency. But without meditation, no matter what you do, you're always lacking that little bit of energy. So it's all about changing the frequency. So if you're one of my places, I'll be in New York doing a free workshop next month, in North Carolina in April, and I'll be in Wisconsin in November. I'll be in Germany, Poland, Ukraine. Well, that won't be publicized. But anyway, that's what I'm doing. But it comes on to what you're doing. It's people don't realize the power behind physical, spiritual, mental energies. And when you could focus them all, it's like when you're doing what you're doing, you're visualizing, you're energizing, you're making the surrounding energy part of yours, you're refocusing it. But you always have to have love, because without love, then you really don't have the ultimate frequency. That's the ultimate frequency, the ultimate energy. So when I say frequency, energy, light, it's all the same thing. So whatever language you're using about, energy, it's all the same thing. Basically, it all boils down to love. So
That's wild, because that's what you were just saying.
It is. It's fantastic. And as you said, it's all the same. It's just how you get there, but there's no right or wrong, especially with love. Unconditional love. Reiki's unconditional love. What you're doing is unconditional love. It's fantastic. Way to go, man. Hey, you're going to be at the IONS conference in Virginia on Labor Day?
No, I'm going to be in Germany.
Oh, I probably already asked you that.
Yeah.
Gosh, I'm so sorry.
So I'll be in Germany. I'm putting together a care team, and I'm training German chaplains to break out of this. I'm Protestant, I'm Catholic, I'm Jewish. No, when you're helping PTSD people, whether it's veterans, women that have been raped, or whatever, right? There's levels of PTSD. It's not just military. You have to break out of trying to sell somebody your religion, get away from the dogma, and just teach people love and forgiveness. So the German government likes my message. They watch my videos, and so they're trying to incorporate me within that. But the military is resisting. You know how that is. Anyway.
Hey, Bill, thanks. That's fantastic. It's so fun seeing you. Please give yourself a big hug from me, from the world, from the universe. You are fantastic.
So you can see I'm trying to change my frequency. See all my, you go
Oh
around.
yeah, it looks great. Oh, look at your drums and your instruments. It's so fun. It's so fun.
But everything is about energy. And I've been preaching that for a long time, but I've never really studied it. I don't read all these other people's books. I don't watch other people's videos. What I teach, what I talk about is what I've experienced. And being childlike person that I am, I simplify everything I experience. I don't need to know, what's the Indian term for this? What does this mean? What's the different layers? That's the intellect. I have no intellect. I don't worry about it.
You have intellect.
So to me, I love like a child. I preach like a child. You go to my lectures, I can preach for 4 hours or 6 hours or talk or lecture. and everybody will understand pretty much. I don't use a vocabulary that's out there. I don't go crazy using Indian verbiage and Buddhist versions and this and that and scripture and quoting, Dwayne Dreyer. I don't quote anybody. It's me. Here it is. Here's what I've learned. Like I've been talking about frequency and energy as a healing factor for a long time. And then lately people going, look, Reverend Bill, you realize there's people out there with tuning forks killing cancer. There's people out there with the Tibetan bowls doing this. There's people. So I'm finding out that what I've experienced and what I know to be my truth scientifically is proving itself. As 60 Minutes about a month ago had a thing on music, using music frequencies to kill cancer. I saw that on 60 Minutes. I'm going, hey, wait, that's what I'm telling people, but I never.
Yes.
I love your crystal bowls too, Becky.
It's fun. Yes, it's great fun.
So
Great
then
fun.
somebody sent me a video the other day, a sequence. I mean, getting ready to do a thing. I had questions about this stuff, but it turns out there's these 13 musical octaves or tones or whatever, vibrations that heal certain parts of your body, certain chakras and things.
Right.
And the basic 6 or 7, whatever there are, the Gregorian, what was those chants? The Gregorian chants?
Right.
The ancient ones, that's all they used was these 6 tones, all healing tones. And they got that from India because the Sanskrit chants use the same tones. And it's about healing the body, the mind, and the spirit. And there's certain frequencies, for different things. And it's interesting. That's been around a long time, but the Catholic Church tried to destroy it once upon a time, and because these monks were doing these things and discovering these things, and church fathers didn't understand it, of course, back in the 1500s, 1600s. So they just turned them into these beautiful chants. And they kind of, so those things survived. But that's it. I'm sorry. I come in late. I'm feeling guilty.
No worries. Don't feel guilty. And let's head back to see if there's any. We're going through some email questions. People are asking questions, but it's so nice to see you. And thank you for all the healing, for the beautiful love, for the beautiful time and energy and wisdom and heart that you're sharing with so many. Thank you so much.
You got a fat, talkative Irishman that.
You're not fat.
Just enjoys telling a good story. So.
It's great. Thank you. Chrissy, what do you got? You got anything more?
Let's see. Oh, you know what question I got a few times during the week? Do you have discounts for students for your course?
Oh, that's a very interesting question. Thank you for asking that. This year I did start a student discount program because all the courses, Reiki Level 1, Reiki Level 2, Reiki Master, are all certificate provided courses. And for students to learn this, I thought, my gosh, I really want to do a discount for the students. And so there's a special student code that will give you a substantial discount. And all you need to do is just email me. And it's just Becky@RebeccaAustill-Clausen.com. And I'd be delighted to give you this special student code that works for either Reiki Level 1, Reiki Level 2, or the combination Reiki Level 1 and 2, which is just 2 days worth of work. So please just email me again, Becky@RebeccaAustill-Clausen.com. But I received a really nice response on that. And so it's been really fun. Also, there's a QR code that I can send out with the little handout or flyer on the student discount coupon code. So yeah, feel free to let me know if you're interested in that. Thanks. That was a good question.
Becky. Now I have a question. Can you tell me again, what is your favorite crystal? I forget which course you talk about crystals in, but I was just in a shop in Pennsylvania in Peddler's Village, I think it was. And it's just like a cute little area. And there was this beautiful crystal store. And all I could do was think of you.
Crystals are not part of Reiki, but they're part of my Reiki training, and I teach it in Reiki Level 2, and it's called a supplemental modality that works well with crystals. So my favorite crystal is called rose quartz, and I always carry them in my pocket, and so it's beautiful quartz, and quartz has energy. So when Bill was talking about energy, when I'm talking about energy, quartz has energy, and quartz is what powers our radio, computers, watches, like quartz does. And so rose quartz is actually signified with the heart. And so I absolutely love rose quartz because it represents Reiki's unconditional love. And I always carry at least 2 or 3 rose quartz crystals in my pocket, because with energy, the more energy and love and unconditional love that you have, the more you share, the more you give. And if there's anything that's going to help me share love, that's what I want. And so I have rose quartz crystals in my pocket, essentially 100% of the time, maybe 99.9% of the time. And it's a wonderful crystal. So way to go, Chrissy, for going into crystal shops. The first time I learned about crystals was, gosh, it was like 1996. And I didn't know anything about crystals. And I went to a crystal shop, and I was with my family, and so I'm going through the door, and my kid said, "Mom, what's holding you up?" The energy was so profound. I could not walk through that door. I actually had to like take a couple of deep breaths and then allow my heart to lead me to these beautiful, beautiful crystal pockets that were there. I mean, this was a big store of crystals. It was Bay's Rock Shop in Pennsylvania. And I'll never forget just being bombarded with beautiful, loving energy right at the door. My kids are going through, and I said, "Hey, let's get some crystals." And to this day, they still have them. Our kids, Kenny and Ryan, are in their 30s. And I'm pretty sure they still have these crystals that they got. And so yes, rose quartz is the one that I use. But you know what, Chrissy? I always encourage people to follow their heart and to allow their instincts to bring them to what is needed, what is wanted. And so just allow your intuitive abilities to lead you to wherever you need to go, and just follow that. And then when you get to, say, for a crystal or an energy healer or whatever it is that you need, then check it out. And there's wonderful books on interpreting the spiritual significance of crystals. And I actually have it here. One of the coolest books is written by Nicholas Pearson, Pearson. And he's got a new one. It just came out. Here it is, Crystal Basics by Nicholas Pearson. And this is a pocket encyclopedia. It just came out like maybe 2-3 weeks ago. And it's great. And the big crystal person was Judy Hall. And Judy Hall passed, oh gosh, a couple of years ago. And Nicholas is taking her place in the United Kingdom and training people on Judy Hall's information and Nicholas's information. He's a major crystal expert. When I teach after-death communication, I've had Nicholas come in and provide training on how to utilize crystals with after-death communication. See, we go. See if I get that right. Yep. And so Crystal Basics, Pocket Encyclopedia. He also has another book called Crystal Basics, and it's not the pocket one. This has, I think, about 450 crystals and their spiritual significance. And he has about 6 other books as well. I met him because he's a Reiki master, and I had no idea that he was also into crystals. And I'm like, all right. So it's a good book and a resource well worth checking out.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah, that popped into my head. I was like, I was thinking of you, and I couldn't.
That was a good one. Thanks.
And then another question that I got was from Bill, but not this Bill, different Bill. Do you have any recommendations for preparing for the classes?
Sure. Well, first of all, you don't have to do very much, but I do encourage you to, as Reverend Bill McDonald was saying, diet is very important. And so I encourage you to be mindful about what you're eating. And when I first started teaching Reiki, I said, I encourage you not to drink coffee the night before and the day before, but I actually got a variety of complaints about that concept, because sometimes people
hide my coffee.
Sometimes people need coffee. They want coffee. It gives them a headache if they don't have coffee. So I stopped that. But quite frankly, the more water you can drink to help flush out your system, to help yourself be pure, to help yourself receive and be open to the information that is going to be shared with you helps. I encourage you to get a good night's sleep the night before, and take care of yourself. Ideally, if you can go for a walk before your class, feel nature's healing bounty, look at the sun, feel the sun's rays going through you, helping you to open up and just connect with the earth and the world beyond. You know, all of that will absolutely help you be ready. And meditation is part of Reiki. You do learn how to connect with yourself. You do learn how to share your inner soul with yourself, because if we can help ourselves heal, then we can help others heal. So recommendations: get a good night's sleep, drink lots of water, have water with you during the training, and be mindful of your intake of food and of course alcohol. And bottom line, have fun. You know, that's my license plate, is to have fun, because fun brings us so much joy, and it's great to be cheerful and happy. So thanks.
Thanks. Now you said something that I feel like we also get asked often. If you have a headache or something, or if you're not feeling your best, does that like affect how you're gonna practice Reiki, or can you like give someone, you know, negative energy? How does that work?
That's an interesting question. Oftentimes Reiki and the use of energy will heal headaches, and it can happen quite rapidly. When I was first learning Reiki, a person in my office had severe migraine headaches, and I had asked her before, it was while I was learning Reiki, I said, hey, if you ever get a migraine, if you want, feel free to come on up to my office and let me see if I can help you. And it was really quite interesting. It was a very severe migraine headache. I could feel her headache from 6 feet away, like it was like a spike that was coming out of her head. And the way I learned to help with severe headaches was to actually very slowly, it took about 20 minutes, very slowly to massage the energy, because you learn how to feel energy. And so to massage the energy very slowly, very slowly. And what I was doing is bringing it back into the head. And you think, wow, why are you bringing that energy back into the head? But if I had cut it off, it would have just been tremendous pain, like very sharp, very unproductive. But bringing it back into the head with love, massaging it very slowly, intentionally, asking for it to help become reabsorbed by the body. And then when you get to the head, surrounding it by love, unconditional love and healing, and sending Reiki, sending energy, sending love into that person's head actually worked. It was really pretty interesting. And it took about 20 minutes. And once I got to her head, that's it probably took about another 5 minutes right around the head, just sending her lots of love. And to this day, we talk about this. So if someone has a headache during Reiki, you learn self-Reiki, like you learn how to help heal yourself, whether you actually physically want to, as the person with the headache, place your arms, your hands where the headache is, whether it's in the front or on the side of your temples or whatever. You can ask your partner to help heal. You can still do Reiki. Most of the time, the headache will disappear just because we're in a group setting, and the headache will dissolve. Like most of the time, it's going to dissolve. And so that's a way to even validate to yourself that you can help yourself heal. The ability to mindfully breathe slowly, relax, place your hands, your Reiki attuned hands, over where that headache is, and ask for your highest good to be received does work. And you don't have to. People often ask, do you have to believe in Reiki in order for it to work? And the answer is no. You do not need to believe, but you do need to be open. You need to be open to having this work. So thanks, Chrissy. That was an interesting question.
Thank you. All right, I think I only have a couple more that people sent us. Do you two have any other questions that are on the call as well, just so I don't ignore? Okay.
Nice to see you, Mary.
Hi. Yeah, no, nothing else is in the chat. Okay. Oops. I just dragged something. Chris was wondering if they can only attend part of the Reiki immersion course if they can still get a certificate.
I'm sorry to say the answer is no. In order to receive a certificate, you do need to attend the whole thing. And Chrissy and I, especially Chrissy, who's very good at this, will take attendance throughout the 6 hours. We do have a break every hour and a half. So every hour and a half, you can have a break because you think, oh my gosh, this is a long time. But during the break, there's beautiful little nature slideshows with music. And then we come back and we do sound healing. And so there's a variety of sound healing instruments, crystal bowls. We have a percussion instrument called Free Notes. It's quite beautiful. And I play the hung, which is another type of percussion instrument. And so there's a variety of sound healing that brings us back and helps us get acclimated again to the energy that we have and to energy within the Reiki community that we form during the day. And so the first half of Reiki 1 is pretty much philosophy, history. You learn self-healing, and then you learn how to give and receive Reiki mindfully. And then the second half is all experiential. Now, with Reiki 2, the experiential component is intersected throughout the day. And so if you miss a part of it, you're really not getting the full effect. And so in order to get a certificate, you can come to it, but you won't get a certificate if you can only come to part of it. In order to get a certificate, you do need to attend throughout the time. And the time is 12 to 7 Eastern time, which is 9 to 4 Pacific time. And again, it's this coming Saturday. A week from today is Reiki 1, and the day after is Reiki level 2, same time. So I'm excited to get rolling on this.
Yeah, and the day does go fast. It sounds long, but it goes fast.
It is amazing. Like, I'm always amazed. And, at the end of the day, we have a blind Zoom poll. And I say, how effective was this? And quite frankly, we're averaging 98% of excellent, very good effectiveness. And it's been really, really exciting to, to see that this one day of training has been working. And Alan just connected. So welcome, Alan, for coming on in. So thank you for being here as well.
If you have any questions as well, you can raise your hand, you can post them in the chat, you can ask Becky directly, or I can ask Becky for you, just so you know. The next question is from Lucy. She's wondering if there are any people or medical conditions that would not be safe to use Reiki for.
Good question. All these questions are great. I'm thrilled. Thank you, Chrissy, for having these. It's been fun listening to the questions and having people email them in and having you ask them. It's great. I always recommend, if somebody has a pacemaker, to talk to the doctor before providing Reiki, because Reiki is using energy, and we don't want to affect the pacemaker negatively. I'm not saying that it would, but a person has a pacemaker so that they have consistent rhythm of their heart. And with energy, you don't want to impair any type of medical condition that a person has. And so pacemaker is one that you can use Reiki with a pacemaker. And my mom actually had a pacemaker and she did very well with Reiki. But I always ask for a physician's permission before using Reiki with a pacemaker. And those that have seizures, I also think it's good to be aware if someone has a seizure. And so those two conditions, but quite frankly, Reiki has never been found, to my knowledge, and it's publicized widely. Reiki's never been found to harm anybody. And so it works. The one thing Reiki is the number one reason people use Reiki is for pain. And that's either physical pain, spiritual, mental pain. It works very well with pain, stress, anxiety, cancer, hip fractures, shoulder fractures, rheumatoid arthritis. One of the things that happens with arthritis is sometimes when I'm looking at my hand here, if you had arthritis of your hand, of your fingers, sometimes the Reiki energy is so strong that it could cause just the first or second day, it could cause the cells to really start moving around so fast that there could be a little bit of an increase in pain. But by day 3, it recedes and oftentimes goes away. So when people are working with someone that has arthritis, I often say, you might want to let them know that it's normal for the first couple of days. You might feel a little bit more pain or stress in your arthritic joints. And so it's good to schedule an appointment like on that 3rd day so that you can see how they're doing. Usually by the 3rd day, it recedes, certainly by the 4th day, but it's always good to keep an eye on that. And it is normal because what Reiki actually works physically, as well as spiritually, emotionally, all that, but it can activate those cells so that it can help with the healing process. It's really quite amazing.
Cool. Thank you. And it's funny that you say like cells and everything, because you always talk too about how Reiki is not just for like people, but you can do it with lots of things. So can you just tell us about like what else you can do Reiki on? Because
Sure. When we were in the midst of COVID, that was quite the time. And I was teaching a lot of Reiki online, and it was very successful. And I was walking around the neighborhood, and a good neighbor, good friend of ours, had a dog, and the dog's Pumpkin. No, Pumpkin. I don't know if the dog's name was Pumpkin. Chocolate. I'm not sure if that's the right name, but anyway, let's say the dog's name was Pumpkin. I don't think that's exactly right, but it was something like that. And so this fellow said to me, my husband and I were walking around the neighborhood. And so was he and his wife and his dog. And he said, Becky, can you come to our house and give our dog Reiki? And, this is in the middle of COVID. And I thought, gosh, I'm not really sure I want to do that. And I looked at him, and he's a very spiritual fellow. And I said, would you like me to attune you, which is activate your Reiki energy? Would you like me to attune you right here? And normally I give a whole lot of philosophy and history, and so people can understand it, but I just wanted him to be able to help his Cupcake. That was the name of the dog. Name of the dog is Cupcake. I wanted him to be able to help Cupcake. And so I attuned him right there. And my husband was off to the side, and his wife was off to the side. And we had just about 5 minutes of discussion, and I showed him what the concept was. Cupcake, he did not expect Cupcake to live for 3 weeks. So we had about 3 weeks to do this. Cupcake lived for 9 months. And he provided Cupcake with regular Reiki. And so Reiki works really, really well on animals, and it also works on plants. There in the olden days, there was a whole study, I think it was in the 1970s, where people would put one plant on a windowsill, and they'd have another plant right beside it. And to my knowledge, it wasn't Reiki, but it was energy. So it's similar because Reiki's a biofield energy modality. So they sent love and healing energy to a plant on, let's say the left side, and the plant on the right side, they didn't. And the plant on the left side grew, and it was absolutely fantastic. And the plant that didn't receive the love and the energy did not grow. And that's the power of natural energy. That intention, that mindful, that love, it can work with plants, animals, trees, and of course, each one of us. So thanks, Chrissy.
That's awesome. Thank you. And then the last question we have, so far, unless anyone else has another question, is from Frank. They're just wondering if What's the time that's built into the Reiki course for questions and answers? Is it like just at the end? Is it throughout the day?
Good question. It's throughout the day. I love listening to questions, and I thank people for being here. I thank people for asking the questions ahead of time. And Chrissy, you did a great job. But we have questions, and we have every single component of Reiki has a question and answer and discussion period. And I mean, gosh, it's so much better than just listening to me. Like, I really like to have the questions and the discussion and the sharing when we do the experiential components. It's a very safe environment because it's only two people. And so sometimes people don't like sharing in a group, but they feel comfortable sharing with just one other person. And so we've built that in as well. You know, the 3 times that you're receiving and sharing Reiki with another person, it's just with one other person. And then you can, if you want, share it amongst the whole group. But it's been really fun listening to these questions. Bill, thank you so much for all the work that you do. Mary and Alan, thank you for still being here. Cheryl was here, and it's just a delightful, I'm sorry, what?
Mary has another question.
Oh, Mary, please ask another question. That'd be great.
I can put it, she put it in the chat for us. She was wondering, how does Reiki strengthen connection with those in the spirit world?
Oh, yes. Oh, thanks. Reiki enhances our awareness that all life is connected. Because what Reiki does is it uses energy from the universe. It uses unconditional love, and then it comes through us as we're an empty bamboo rod, and it goes to the person that receives it. Because the universe is composed not only of us on the physical level, it's also composed of every living person, being, consciousness that's out there. Reiki enhances that connection. It raises, what it does, Mary, is it raises the vibrational ability. Our vibrations raise so that we can actually meet and communicate with our loved ones that live beyond. It was about the first probably 2 or 3 years after I had learned Reiki. My brother had passed, and that's actually why I learned Reiki, because I wanted to continue communicating with him. I had this whole experience, what's called a spiritual transformative experience, which is very similar to a near-death experience. And now they're finding a great correlation between those that have had a near-death experience and those that have had a spiritual transformative experience. Well, anyway, I had a spiritual transformative experience where I saw and communicated with my deceased brother. So anyway, it was really quite interesting. His name was David, and David had a friend who had passed also. And David came to me after, it was a couple of years after he had passed, and he said, my friend wants you to help him heal who had passed. And I'm like, David, I've never done that before. And he said, it'll be okay. It'll be all right. And so I sent healing energy, Reiki energy, to this person that was living in the afterlife. And I say that because I am 1 billion% certain that we do live forever. And there's lots and lots of research out there, particularly near-death experience research, that facilitates that awareness that our consciousness does not leave us when we die. Our consciousness continues. So anyway, I'm sending Reiki to this person, and I wasn't sure how effective it was, but I certainly did my best. And the next day my brother came, and he says, hey, my friend said that it worked well. I'm like, no kidding. And so not only can we help heal ourselves on this earth and heal others on this earth, we can also help heal people that are living beyond, because we are accessing that higher vibrational level, that higher connectedness. That's what Reiki does, is it raises our vibrational energy. That's what energy does. It raises our vibrational energy. And because Reiki has this attunement process where you actually activate your own energy, it jump starts it. It makes it real fast that we can learn how to do this. There's a lot of people that teach Reiki, and most of them don't talk about the fact that you can communicate with your loved ones, but I do, and it's been really, really wonderful I was at Duquesne University in 2017. A lot happened in 2017, but anyway, I was at Duquesne University and I was teaching a group of occupational therapy students on a Friday. They learned Reiki level 1, and then on Saturday, people from the community learned Reiki level 1 as well. So there were 70 people that learned Reiki, and most of them had never even heard the word Reiki. 20% of 70 people that weekend had after-death communication experiences. And I'm like, whoa. I mean, when I teach it almost every single time, somebody has something, but 15 people had an after-death communication experience. And I thought, this really does work. And then the next year, I went to a place called Lilydale, and Lilydale is the largest community of psychics and mediums in the country, and they provide free Reiki at their healing temple. And I thought, okay, if Lilydale is providing free Reiki, and I had 20% of 70 people during one time, it was during a 2-day period, have after-death communication experiences, Reiki really does enhance it. And again, to me, it raises our frequency. It raises our frequency. It raises our vibrational level so that we can connect with our loved ones living beyond. That was a really nice question. I can talk quite a bit about that.
Thank you. No, that's great
Sure.
answer.
Thanks, Mary. It's very nice to have you here, and thanks for staying as well.
Yeah. Sorry, I muted myself there. We have a downstairs tenant, and the dog always goes crazy every time we're on these weekend calls.
It's so
And
interesting.
The internet does weird things with the energy.
It does. And animals feel the Reiki energy. Like, it's so fascinating to me. So many times we probably have half a dozen animals that are with a person during our Reiki sessions. They just come on in. When I went to my physical therapist after the knee replacement, her dog came right up to me and kept putting his hip in my hand, and the PT said, "Oh, we want you to give him Reiki." And after the dogs receive it very quickly, and so it only takes maybe a minute, maybe a couple of minutes, but oftentimes it's not even that. And you can do it with your hands on. Usually I trust where I'm supposed to put my hands on the dog, and then they'll leave. And it is really quite something. So I'm not surprised that the dog goes wild, Chrissy. That's amazing.
Yeah, I was like, I can't tell if my speakers are picking it up, so I'm just going to mute myself if I'm not talking because it's so loud.
They don't. It didn't pick it up.
Oh, great. I think that is about all the questions that I've gotten in. Does anyone else have any other questions that's with us today?
It's so fun to see you and listen to the questions, and great job, Chrissy. And think about, if you haven't registered for Reiki, think about spending one day of your life and learn it. And it really is quite a marvelous natural energy healing modality. You just go to Reiki Immersion Online. So it's Reiki Immersion, IMMERSION online. And you'll get it, or it's on my website under the events. And my website's Austill-Clausen.com. And you just go to the event page and you'll get the link that way. But it's really been a delightful day. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Thank you for the questions. Thank you for your knowledge, your wisdom. Thank you for sharing. And I hope to see you this weekend for Reiki Level 1 and or Reiki Level 2 and or Reiki Master if you've got experience, 6 months experience the following weekend. So thank you very much. Wonderful job, Chrissy. Thank you all. Have a great day filled with love.